Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, Bookworm Becca. Today is day 2 of Bookmas, and I am uploading days 1 and 2 both today because I got a little bit behind already, of course. I mean, do you expect anything different? For day 2 of Bookmas, I'm going to be doing my wrap-up for the months of October and November because in those 2 months combined, I only did read a total of 4 books. So this should be a pretty quick wrap up. In the month of October, I only read 1 book, and it was Lighter Than My Shadow by Katie Green. And this is a graphic novel account of Katie's recovering from an eating disorder. It was so heart-wrenching, but a very important story to read. I read a lot of books that have dealt with eating disorders, but reading one that is a graphic novel was definitely a new experience for me, and I enjoyed my experience while I was reading it. The artwork is absolutely phenomenal, and I could really feel Katie's struggle coming through in her drawings and in her depiction of the story. There's just something different when you see it all laid out in front of you rather than just reading the words that I think made it even more impactful. I gave this book 5 out of 5 stars. So in the month of November, I read 3 books, and the first book I read was Radio Silence by Alice Oseman. I'm going to be having a review of this book coming up soon. I don't know exactly what day I have it planned for, but I did not actually care for this book as much as other people did. If you don't know, we follow a girl named Frances who is really into this podcast online called Universe City, and this podcast is put on by an anonymous person that goes by the username Radio Silence. Frances discovers that one of her acquaintances is actually the creator of this podcast, so they start kind of working together, but that's like really not what it's about at all. There are so many different underlying themes, and I don't know, I didn't connect with any of the characters. I really did like the element of the podcast woven throughout the book, but the actual story did not interest me at all. The characters did not interest me at all, and I definitely have a lot of thoughts that are not the same as other people who have read this book. So get ready for that review. I'm going to try not to drag the book as much as possible because I don't want to drag this book. I see how some people would really enjoy it, but it just wasn't for me, and I think I gave this book 3 out of 5 stars, but I would probably bump it down to 2. The next book that I read in November was Small Spaces by Catherine Arden. This is a middle grade book that everyone was reading during October, and I got it during October but didn't read it. But this is a middle grade book about a girl named Ollie, and she finds this woman in the woods who is about to throw away this book, and so she steals the book. Then when Ollie goes on a field trip the next day to a farm with the rest of her class, she discovers that the woman who owns the farm is the lady she saw in the woods, and she's been reading this book, and she starts seeing gravestones that have the names of the characters from the book that she's reading. So she starts thinking that maybe this is not a work of fiction after all. Their bus breaks down, and she has to kind of team up with 2 of her classmates to figure out what is going on at this farm. I thought it was so cute. Obviously it's a middle grade book, so it's not exactly for my target audience, but I still really enjoyed this book a lot. It was pretty spooky, and I definitely would have loved something like this when I was younger because all I grew up with was Goosebumps, and I would have loved something that was more along these lines. It was the perfect fall read. The descriptions of this little town all ready for fall was absolutely perfect. I loved the story. Like I said, I thought it was super cute, and overall I gave Small Spaces 4 out of 5 stars. And the last book that I read during November is Little Little and Lion by Brandy Colbert. In this book, we follow a girl named Suzette who is home to LA from her boarding school in New England, and the reason that her family sent her to this boarding school is because her stepbrother Lionel had just been diagnosed with bipolar disorder and was trying to figure out his medication and get into a sort of routine. So her family decided to send her away so that she wouldn't be distracted by all of this. Now she's back and she has to kind of figure out where she fits into her family, where she fits into the friend group that she's been away from, and to top it all off, she starts crushing on the same girl that her brother is into. So it just makes things even more sticky. I loved this book so freaking much. There was even hard of hearing representation in it, which I was not expecting at all, and I thought that that rep was phenomenal. I felt like the mental illness rep was really well done as well. I liked how the characters interacted with each other, and this is probably one of my favorite families that I've read in a while. So if you're looking for like an overall well-rounded book with LGBT rep, hard of hearing representation, mental illness, and great like family and friendships, then I would definitely give this one a try. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars, and I am going to be doing a review of it later on this month. So there you guys go. Those are all of the books that I read during the months of October and November. Let me know what you were reading during those months down below in the comments. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you tomorrow.